Hello again, it's me Chaz back with another video. This is my match day 13 CONMEBOL World Cup qualifying review. Again, this is another video of mine that is long overdue, but I'm finally bringing it out now. Match day 14 also took place in March. I will make a separate video for match day 14, just like I have done for all the other match day videos for the CONMEBOL. But heading into match day 13 of the CONMEBOL, Argentina, the current holders of the World Cup after defeating France back in 2022 in Qatar, did qualify for the World Cup during match day 14. Even though Argentina are the champions, they still have to qualify for the World Cup, just like every other team other than the hosts. This is something that has been happening since the 2006 World Cup, where Brazil, who were the champions in 2002, had to qualify for the World Cup in 2006. With that said, every champion has qualified for the World Cup. This looks like it's going to continue, or it has continued, since Argentina have now qualified for the World Cup on match day 14. They did well on match day 13 themselves, because they beat Uruguay 1-0 in Uruguay in the Centenario. And on the other end of the table, Peru gave themselves more of a chance to fight for at least that playoff position back in match day 13 when they defeated Bolivia 3-1 at home in their national stadium, the Estadio Nacional in Lima. Paraguay did well themselves as well, defeating Chile 1-0. Brazil beat Colombia 2-1. And finally Ecuador beat Venezuela 2-1. Going to go into a little more detail in all those matches. I'm going to start off with the game between Paraguay and Chile, which ended in a 1-0 win for Paraguay. The game took place in the Ueno Defensores del Chaco stadium. The previous match that took place in Chile between these two teams ended in a 0-0 draw. The first half was goalless between the two, but in the second half, on the hour mark, Alderete scored. Cross came in first. Kakaris gets his head to the ball, which goes to Sanabria, who heads it on again, and then Alderete finishes it 1-0 for Paraguay. It also put them further clear of Chile, who after match day 14 are bottom of this table and looks like they may not qualify for this World Cup. For Paraguay, again, positive win for them, much needed. This was also Alderete's second goal for Paraguay during this World Cup qualifying campaign. The first one was against Argentina, which was the win in their 2-1 win over them. Paraguay did play Colombia next, where they did draw 2-2 on match day 14, and would put them in 5th, just above Colombia by a point. For Chile, their next game was against Ecuador on match day 14, which ended in a 0-0 draw. This loss to Paraguay and a draw to Ecuador later would put Chile at the bottom of the table after match day 14. Okay, we're going to move on to the next game. That is the match between Brazil and Colombia, where Brazil beat Colombia 2-1 at the BRB Arena. The last World Cup game to be played here was back in 2014, where Brazil lost to Netherlands in the 3rd place playoff. Alright, so early on in this game, Vini Jr. was brought down in the box, won Brazil a penalty. Rafinha took the penalty, he's been scoring quite often for Brazil. Very confident from the spot as well. He scored twice from the spot back in October against Peru. their 4-0 win. Again, Rafinha does well, scores his penalty. This is now his 5th goal for Brazil during their World Cup qualifying campaign. Still in the first half though, Colombia do equalise. Diaz for Colombia, this is now his 5th goal for them. And 3 of them came against Brazil, because this is the 3rd time he's now scored against them. He scored twice against Brazil, the last time they played each other during this campaign, where Brazil lost to Colombia 2-1. So quite a busy first half. In the second half though, extremely late on, Vinny would score 9 minutes into extra time or injury time. Absolute great strike. Rafinha passes it to him. Vinny, what a great goal there. It's actually his first goal for Brazil during this World Cup campaign. And what a time for him to score. Brazil end up winning that game 2-1. They've had a shaky World Cup campaign, this one, qualifying campaign I should say. They win, then they lose. They haven't been like 100% at all. And nothing really changed here, because after they did beat Colombia, they ended up playing Argentina, who at the time already qualified, and they lost to them 4-1 in the next match. Brazil would end up, after match day 14, in 4th, which is still a World Cup qualifying spot. They are 6 points clear of Venezuela, who currently are 7th, so though another setback for them after a great win against Colombia, still in a good enough position to qualify for the World Cup. For Colombia, they would end up drawing against Paraguay in their next game on match day 14. They themselves are currently in 6th after match day 14 and are 5 points clear of Venezuela. Alright, let's move on to the match between Peru and Bolivia, which saw the most goals during this match day. Peru beat Bolivia 3-1. Both of these nations out of the World Cup qualifying spots and the playoff position right now. The previous game between these two, Bolivia did beat Peru 2-0. This time, Peru the stronger team, winning 3-1 in their national stadium in Lima. Polo will score for Peru. A lot of things going on in the box here, but it will eventually get to him, and he scores. Reina with the assist. Horrible pass from Sagredo. Horrible pass. Which Polo would make something out of it, would pass the ball to Guerrero for it to be 2-0 for Peru. That's 1 goal and an assist for Polo. Goal for Guerrero there. In the 45th minute, so right at the end there in the first half. In the second half, Bolivia would pull a goal back from the penalty spot. A handball was given. Against Abraham, the ball did strike his hand. I don't know, sometimes you see it given, sometimes you don't. So, yeah. It was Robson Mateus with the strike though, that did strike Abraham's arm. Okay, so anyway. Penalty was taken by Terceros, who did score a penalty in the last game for Bolivia in their 2-2 draw against Paraguay late last year. This would be his 5th goal now for Bolivia. Unfortunately for him and Bolivia, it was nothing more than a consolation, because Flores in the 82nd minute would score for Peru, giving them a 3-1 win. Peru would then go on match day 14 to lose to Venezuela. That was a must-needed win for them. They really need to beat Venezuela. Peru would be in 9th at the end of match day 14. Bolivia, on the other hand, went up against Uruguay, which that match ended in a 0-0 draw. Considering it was Uruguay, I would say a good point for Bolivia to get. However, they themselves needed more from that. They would end up in 8th at the end of match day 14. Right, we've got 2 more games left. Match day 13, World Cup qualifiers for the CONMEBOL. Ecuador beat Venezuela 2-1 at home in the La Casa Blanca. Alright, so Ecuador was leading in this game in the 39th minute. Viti, good ball to Valencia, but this was a brilliant goal. Great chest control, and that volley afterwards, fantastic, especially from that angle. What a goal. 1-0. For the second goal for Valencia, this is now his second goal he scores. This was more on Venezuela's doing a horrible pass back. Valencia capitalizes on it, runs down, scores again. That is now his 5th goal for Ecuador in this World Cup qualifying campaign. This probably might be his last World Cup. Yeah, if he and Ecuador do make it. I mean, he's 35 right now, so. But he's been fantastic for Ecuador for years. Really good player. So anyway, that's 2-0. Venezuela do get a goal back late on in the 90th minute, or 1 minute into extra time, or injury time. Comes from a corner, good corner. McCown heads it down to Cadiz. Scores a nice little spectacular goal there. Gave Venezuela a little hope, but again, wasn't enough for them. Ecuador do finish the tie 2-1 to them. The next game, they end up drawing to Chile 0-0. That draw for them, though, put them second in the table at the end of match day 14. They have been really well, Ecuador. And mind you, they also were deducted points earlier because of what happened during the last World Cup qualifying campaign. They filled in an eligible player, so they were deducted, I believe, 3 points. So it's crazy, and they still managed to be second. Only the champions are above them in this qualifying campaign, so they've been really well Ecuador. Solid defensive record as well. This was another setback for Venezuela. They do, though, bounce back a little because they beat Peru during match day 14 1-0, which puts them 7th at the end of match day 14, which is the playoff spot. They are currently 5 points behind Colombia. If they are going to get to that World Cup spot, they need to start winning their games and hoping the other teams above them drop points. And finally, the game, Uruguay-Argentina, match day 13. Game took place in the Centenario. I'm happy to say that I was there earlier this year. If you saw some of my videos about the 1930 World Cup, where I discuss the matches that took place in Montevideo, Uruguay. Had a great time there. Okay. This match was also obviously the final from the 1930 World Cup, so another time these two played each other in Centenario. The previous match between these two, Argentina lost to Uruguay 2-0 in Argentina. I think that may have also been the first time Argentina lost a competitive game since their defeat to Saudi Arabia at the World Cup. This game, though, Argentina managed to win. They beat Uruguay 1-0, 68th minute. This goal from Almada was phenomenal. Great strike here, brilliant goal. That's his second goal for Argentina. Though a win for Argentina, late on they do pick up a red card. Gonzalez, he kicks Nandez in the face. His eyes was on the ball. It wasn't deliberate, but Don't matter, it was too high. Referee gave him a red, straight red, so he got sent off. It's unfortunate for him. Regardless, Argentina wins this game. As I mentioned, they managed to qualify before they even played Brazil on match day 14 because of the results elsewhere. I think it could have been a result of the Bolivia-Uruguay game which confirmed that Argentina would qualify for the World Cup. It was either that game or it may have been the Colombia and Paraguay 2-2 draw. But yeah, the champions have already qualified. For Uruguay, they are currently third, so they dropped down to third, but again, they're still in a great position to qualify for the World Cup. Only drastic circumstances would not see them qualify. And I think they went through their rough patch already back in late last year, because they lost a lot of their players because of the match in the Copa America between them and Colombia, where quite a few of their players were suspended. So they should qualify. So the two original World Cup finalists, Uruguay and Argentina, both most likely will qualify for the World Cup. As mentioned, Argentina already have. Alright, this was my CONMEBOL World Cup 2026 qualifying review match day 13. Thanks for watching, listening, appreciate it as usual. We'll be doing match day 14 as well later on. So thanks again, like, comment and subscribe.